Push them! Go!
We think we know the story. 8 species of human: Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Homo Rudolfensis, Homo Ergaster, Homo Heidelbergensis, Homo floresiensis, Neanderthals, Denisovans. 8 chapters in the epic of our kind. But the truth runs deeper. Hidden in bone fragments, half-broken skulls, and long-forgotten riverbeds are whispers of other humans. Some lived before these famous 8, others walked beside them, and a few may still rewrite everything we thought we knew. This is not just about Neanderthals or Denisovans. This is about the ones left in the shadows, the other humans. Around 2.4 million years ago, in the vast Rift Valley of Africa, a skull emerged from the earth. It was larger than Homo habilis, broader, different, a face that didn't quite fit the mold we thought we knew. Scientists gave it a name, Homo Rudolfensis. But from the moment of its discovery, questions began. Was this truly another species of human, or simply a strange cousin of habilis? The debate still rages. Some see in its bones the spark of a new lineage. Others insist it is nothing more than variation within the old. Yet what matters is not the verdict, but the vision it opens. That from the very dawn of our story, the human family was already branching, already experimenting with forms and futures. Rudolfensis reminds us that there was never a single straight line leading to us, but a tangled tree of possibility, where even the smallest face can change the way we see ourselves. Before Homo erectus carried the human spark across continents, there was Homo ergaster, the African Voyager, sometimes called the Worker. He was taller than his predecessors, long-limbed, built not for crouching in shadows, but for striding under the unforgiving sun. A body designed for distance, for endurance, for journey. Some scholars argue Ergaster was merely the African branch of Erectus, a regional variation of the same species. Yet others see him differently, as the true trailblazer, the one who may have first tamed fire, who transformed flame from a wild danger into a tool of survival. In that mastery, he carried more than warmth or light. He carried possibility. Picture him at the edge of the savannah, smoke rising behind him, firelight dancing on a determined face. With every step into the unknown, Ergaster was not just moving through land. He was moving through destiny, setting in motion the paths that would one day lead to Erectus, and eventually to us. 700,000 years ago, a new figure emerged across Africa and Europe, Homo Heidelbergensis. Broad-shouldered, powerful, and resourceful, they stood at the threshold between the ancient and the modern. They hunted with wooden spears sharpened by fire, coordinated in groups, and faced predators not only with strength, but with strategy.
Carved into form.
But perhaps their greatest challenge was not beasts, it was the cold. For the first time, humans stared down the brutal winters of the Ice Age. They learned to endure a world that could kill with silence and frost, to carve out life where life should not have been possible. From their bloodlines rose 2 titans of prehistory, the Neanderthals in Europe and the Denisovans in Asia. And perhaps, woven among them, the first ancestors of us. Homo Heidelbergensis is more than a fossil or a name in a textbook. They are the bridge, the living hinge between the primal shadows of the deep past and the first flickers of humanity we recognize as our own. Deep within the caves of Atapuerca, Spain, archaeologists uncovered bones older than imagination, over 800,000 years old. These fragments belong to Homo Antecessor, the pioneer man. Their faces tell a strange story. Jaws and teeth primitive like an ancient beast, but with cheekbones and a nose that feel hauntingly familiar, almost modern. It is as if they stood halfway between 2 worlds, caught between what was fading and what was yet to come. Were they the first humans to step onto European soil? Many believe so. Some argue they gave rise to the Neanderthals, shaping the great hunters of Ice Age Europe. Others insist they were a dead end, a bold experiment by evolution that left no children. But their presence is undeniable. Long before Neanderthals, long before us, Europe already had a human face, one that looked half like ours and half like something utterly different. Homo Antecessor is the dawn of Europe's human story. Italy, 1994. Beneath the soil near the town of Cepranensis, archaeologists uncovered a single relic of the deep past, a fractured skull cap, weathered by time. Nothing more. No jaw, no tools, no campfire ashes. Just a crown of bone, silent and incomplete. It was given a name, Homo Cepranensis. Dated to roughly 800,000 years ago, it stands as one of the most enigmatic discoveries in human history. But who was this being? Was he an early Homo Antecessor wandering westward? A primitive Heidelbergensis before the Neanderthals took form? Or perhaps a branch of humanity we do not yet have words for? Sometimes prehistory leaves us not a story, but a riddle. A fragment that whispers of a face we cannot see, a life we cannot imagine. That skull cap is not an answer. It is a question. A reminder that the human journey is filled with shadows we may never fully bring to light. Homo Cepranensis remains the ghost of Europe's early past. South Africa. In the rocks and caves of Gauteng province, researchers uncovered fossils that seemed to belong to a species lost in time. They were named Homo gautengensis, and they may date back nearly 2 million years. If so, they could represent one of the earliest members of our genus, older than Homo habilis, perhaps standing at the very threshold of what we call human. But these people were small, their brains even smaller than habilis. They lived in a rugged landscape, scavenging, foraging, and surviving as shadows in the dawn of humanity. Rarely mentioned in textbooks, almost forgotten by popular science, gautengensis may be the overlooked clue that our family tree was never simple. From the beginning, humanity was not one straight line, but a tangled web of possibilities. A reminder that even at our origins, diversity shaped the human story. Homo gautengensis stands as the dawn we almost forgot. Off the coast of Taiwan, fishermen once dredged up a single fossil from the seabed, a lower jaw, heavy and unfamiliar. It came from the Penghu Channel, and it whispered of a human relative who walked Asia roughly 200,000 years ago. The jaw was massive, its teeth broad, different from Neanderthals, not quite Denisovan, and certainly not us. It belonged to something else, something we don't yet fully understand. Named Homo tsaichangensis, this phantom species reminds us how incomplete our story really is. Asia, vast and understudied, may have sheltered lineages of humans still hidden beneath soil, stone, and sea. Every fragment like this is more than bone. It is a question mark carved in mineral, a reminder that our family tree still holds ghosts waiting to be recognized. The Phantom of Penghu lingers, hinting at chapters of humanity that remain unread. In 2021, a skull emerged from decades of secrecy in China. Heavy, immense, with a brow that seemed carved from stone. It didn't fit into any tidy chapter of human history. Scientists called it Homo Longi, the Dragon Man, and dated it to around 140,000 years ago. What makes Dragon Man so haunting is not just its size, but its closeness. Some researchers argue it may be our nearest relative, closer even than Neanderthals. Others suggest it might in fact be a Denisovan, long known only through traces of DNA and fragments of bone. If that's true, then Dragon Man is not simply a fossil. He is the face of a people we barely know, a shadow made flesh. His gaze, frozen in time, seems to look back at us from the deep night of prehistory, asking who we truly are. Dragon Man reminds us that our story is far from settled. The past still holds giants waiting to be named. And then, there are the ones we cannot name. Geneticists, while mapping our DNA, discovered faint signatures of humans who never made it into the textbooks. Strangers who left no tools, no bones, no fire rings in caves, only silent echoes woven into our blood. They lived, loved, fought, and vanished, yet somehow pieces of them remain inside us. Who were they? Wanderers lost to time, or entire peoples erased by ice, famine, and chance. Did they stand at our campfires, their voices mixing with ours, before being swallowed by history's darkness? Perhaps their bones lie waiting beneath desert sands, or deep in frozen tundra, or on islands drowned by rising seas. Someday, a single fragment of tooth or skull may pull them from myth into reality. The Ghost Lineages remind us that human history is incomplete. Our family tree isn't neat, it is tangled, shadowed, and still haunted by those who came before. Why were there so many kinds of human? Because nature rarely creates one answer. It creates many. Evolution does not write a single story. It writes drafts, edits, and experiments, testing what works and what fails against the brutal backdrop of the world. Some humans were giants of strength, their bones built like pillars. Others were small and wiry, surviving on less, built for endurance rather than power. Some had broad faces, thick skulls, and immense jaws. Others carried finer features, quick hands, and sharper minds. Each was shaped by the environment that gave them life: mountains, forests, deserts, islands, or the endless tundra. One lineage learned to endure thin air at high altitudes. Another mastered the dark caves of Europe. Some braved the tropics, others the frozen winds of Ice Age steppes. They were not failures. They were attempts. Nature's relentless push to see how many forms of human life could exist at once. And yet, here we stand, the last of those experiments. Every step we take is a reminder that countless others walked before us, and countless paths could have been taken instead. When we ask, why so many? We are really asking why we, and not they, remain. Perhaps the answer is not about strength or intelligence or even luck. Perhaps it is about timing, the delicate collision of chance and survival that allowed our branch, and only our branch, to endure. When we think of humanity, we usually picture one face, our own. Smooth skin, familiar eyes, the contours of a body we recognize in every reflection. But behind that single image lies a vast gallery of faces we'll never truly know. Rudolfensis, Ergaster, Heidelbergensis, Antecessor, Cepranensis, Longi, names that sound almost mythical, yet each one once belonged to a living being who walked, who breathed, who dreamed beneath the same sun and stars we see today. They were not just failed branches of some family tree. They were part of the great unfolding story of humankind. Without them, without the experiments of their bodies and the lessons carried in their struggles, we would not be here. Their survival, even if only for a time, paved the way for ours. So the next time you stand before a mirror, pause for a moment. Look past your own reflection. Imagine the other faces layered behind yours, half remembered, half erased by time. Brow ridges heavier, noses broader, eyes deep set, fierce, or kind. Each one a ghost still alive in your blood. Because we are not the only humans who ever lived. We are only the last. And perhaps someday, even our face will become just another memory in that endless gallery, waiting for someone else to remember. If this journey through forgotten names and vanished faces stirred something deep inside you, then don't let it end here. Step with us into prehistoric shadows. This is where the hidden branches of our family tree return to the light, where memory lingers and the lost still speak through stone, bone, and fire. Here, the forgotten walk again. Ancient blood still whispers in our veins, and history, our oldest story, is not over. It is waiting, waiting to be uncovered, remembered, and told once more. So join us. Walk with the shadows, because the past is not gone. It's alive, just waiting for us to listen.